you hear what I was playing, Lane?
I did not think it polite to listen, sir.
Well, I'm sorry about that for your sake. I don't play accurately, you see. Anyone can play accurately. But I play with wonderful expression. As far as the piano is concerned, sentiment is my forte. I keep science for life.
Sure, sir.
And speaking of science for life, have you got those cucumber sandwiches cut for Lady Bracknell?
Yes.
Oh, by the way, I see from your books that on Thursday night, my Lord Showman and Mr. Worthing were dining here. 8 bottles of cold drink were entered as having been consumed.
Yes, sir. 8 bottles and a glass.
Why is it that in a bachelor's establishment, the servants regularly drink the cold drink?
I attribute it to the superior quality of the cold drink, sir. Thank you. Mr. Ernest is here, sir.
It's been raining heavily today.
How are you, Ernest? What brings you up to town?
Pleasure, pleasure. What else should bring one anywhere? Eating as usual, I see, Algy.
I believe it is customary in good society to have light refreshment at 5 o'clock. Where have you been since last Thursday?
Oh, in the country.
What on earth do you do there?
Well, when one is in town, one amuses oneself. When one is in the country, he goes to amuse others. It's excessively boring.
And who are the people you amuse?
Neighbors.
Got nice neighbors in your apartment.
Hello, why all these cups? Why cucumber sandwiches? Why such a reckless spending in one so young? Who is coming to tea?
Oh, simply Aunt Augusta and Gwendolyn.
Oh, that's delightful.
Yes, that is all very well. But I'm afraid Aunt Augusta won't quite approve of you being here.
May I ask why?
Well, my dear fellow, the way you treat Gwendolyn is perfectly disgraceful. It is almost as bad as the way Gwendolyn treats with you.
Well, I am in love with Gwendolyn. I have come up to town expressively to propose to her.
I thought you had come up for pleasure. I call that business.
How completely unromantic you are.
Please, don't touch the cucumber sandwiches. They are ordered especially for Aunt Augusta.
Well, you have been eating them all the time.
That's quite a different matter. She is my aunt. Have some bread and butter instead.
A very good bread and butter it is too.
Well, my dear friend, you need not eat it as if you're going to eat it all.
Why on earth would you say that?
In the first place, girls never marry the men they mistreat with.
Well, that's nonsense.
It isn't. It's a great truth. And in the second place, I do not give my approval.
Your approval?
My dear fellow, Gwendolyn is my first cousin. And before I allow you to marry her, you must clear up this question of Cecily.
Cecily? What on earth do you mean by Cecily, Algy? I know no one of that name.
Lane, bring that cigarette case Mr. Worthing left in the smoking room last time he dined here.
Yes, sir.
Do you mean to say you had my cigarette case all this time?
I feel that is rather mean of you, Ernest. I must say, I find that the thing isn't yours after all.
Of course it's mine. You've seen it with me hundreds of times. It's a very ungentlemanly thing to read a private cigarette case. Now just give it back to me, Algy.
Well, it's silly to have hard and fast rule about what one should read and what one shouldn't. More than half of modern culture depends on what one shouldn't read.
I'm quite aware of that fact. And I don't propose to discuss modern culture at the moment.
But this isn't your cigarette case. This cigarette case is a present from someone by the name of Cecily. And you have just said you don't know one of their name.
Well, if you happen to know, Cecily is my aunt.
Your aunt?
Yes. Charming old lady she is. Lives in Gulberg. Now just give it back to me, Algy.
But then why does she call herself Little Cecily if she's your aunt?
My dear fellow, what on earth is in that? Some aunts are tall, some aunts are not. I think an aunt can decide that for herself, don't you think?
Yes, but then why does your aunt call you her uncle? From Little Cecily, with her fondest love, to dear Uncle Jack.
It isn't Ernest, it's Jack.
What do you mean it isn't Ernest? You have always told me it was Ernest. I've introduced you to everyone as Ernest. It's perfectly ridiculous of you to say you aren't Ernest.
Well, if you happen to know, my name is Ernest in town and Jack in the country. And that cigarette case which you are holding was given to me in the country.
Yes, but that does not account for the fact that your small Aunt Cecily calls you her uncle. Now go on, boy, tell me the whole truth.
Algie, you talk exactly as if you were a dentist. It is very vulgar to talk like a dentist when one isn't a dentist. It produces a false impression.
But, my dear friend, that is exactly what dentists always do. Bunburyist.
Bunburyist? What on earth do you mean by a Bunburyist?
I will reveal to you the meaning of that incomparable expression as soon as you are kind enough to inform me why you are Ernest in town and Jack in the country.
Well, produce my cigarette case first.
There it is.
My dear fellow, if you remember the dear Mr. Thomas Cardew, who adopted me when I was a little boy, made me, in his will, guardian to his granddaughter, Cecily, and Miss Prism is her governess.
Where is that place in the country, by the way?
That is nothing to you, dear boy. You are not invited. The place is not in London anyways.
I suspected as much. I have Bunburied all over England on 2 separate occasions. Now go on. Tell me why you are Ernest in town and Jack in the country.
Well, if you happen to know, I'll tell you. When one is placed in the position of a guardian, one has to adopt a very high moral tone. And as a high moral tone, I have always pretended to have a younger brother of the name of Ernest, who gets into the most dreadful of scrapes. That, my dear Algie, is the whole truth. Pure and simple.
My dear friend, the truth is rarely pure and never simple. Modern life would be very tedious if you were either, and modern literature a complete impossibility.
That wouldn't all be a bad thing now, would it?
What you really are is a Bunburyist.
What on earth do you mean?
Well, my dear fellow, you have invented a very useful younger brother by the name of Ernest, so that you may come up to town whenever you like. I have invented a permanent invalid by the name of Bunbury, so that I may go down to the country whenever I choose.
Hey, I haven't asked you to dine with me anywhere tonight.
I know. You're absurdly careless about handing out invitations. It's very foolish of you. Nothing annoys people more than not receiving an invitation.
You'd much better